Thank you for staying tuned to Fireworks. In today's edition, we're looking at Ekiti politics in retrospect, and my guest today is Barrister Opeyemi Bamidele. Now, in retrospect, if you look back at your actions at that time when you couldn't actualize your gubernatorial ambition in Ekiti State, do you regret your action? Do you wish that perhaps you had stood for re-election into the House of Representatives rather than returning home to pursue a gubernatorial ambition?
I'll put it this way, I don't regret actions because I don't do anything without thinking. I don't do anything out of sheer anger. I don't do anything without seeking the face of God. I'm always very careful as to what I do. I'll say that by sheer faith in God, I act, under grace. And when you do things under grace, it's easier for you to be able to stand by what you did. I don't think any one of us, either myself or Dr. Opeyemi, would say he regretted anything. Each of us acted based on what we felt strongly about, and there was no primaries between us. So it wasn't a question that, oh, I lost a primary election to him in ACN, or APC, and then I went to go and contest in another political party. No, we disagreed 2 years before that election.
You had learned your lessons from 2014?
No,
could that be the case?
There was no lesson to learn from 2014.
You don't think you were hasty? Barrister Bamidele, you won't tell me what exactly that disagreement is, but I want to know.
Oh, no, I can tell you.
I want to know your state of mind when you were moving to the Labour Party at that time.
I felt, like people would say in Yoruba land, that the sky, the open air is enough for all manners of birds
to fly.
Without any kind of head-on coalition or collision. That was exactly what happened. And it was after that, like I said, that APC got registered. So I wasn't...
But in that election, you came a distant third.
Oh, in that election, I came a distant
with
third.
With about 18,000 plus votes.
Yeah, it wasn't a surprise. I'll tell you.
So you still don't see your action as a mistake?
No.
But you then came back to the party afterwards.
Wait. I didn't come back to the party because I didn't leave the party. The party had not been registered. I came to join.
But that's
APC.
Convenient. It's the same family.
It's the same family.
It's a convenient explanation for you.
I agree with you. It's the same family. And that was why it was possible for the national leaders of the party, the likes of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Chibisi Akande, Chief Olusegun Osunbanjo, Tubani Adebayo, and Dr. Kayode Fayemi himself. That was why it was possible for them to be able to say, election is over. This controversy should be over. Opeyemi, come back to the party.
But they receive PDP defectors. Why would they receive you?
I'm telling you, there's a difference. There's a difference. A PDP defector will be coming to join the party, probably for the first time or whatever. All right? But I was a member of the party. I was a stakeholder within the party. Obviously, we had our disagreements, For me, it was more of reconciliation and reunification than a situation of admitting a new person who is decamping from some other political party. But what is important is that lessons have been learned. We totally accept, Dr. Kayode Fayemi as the flag bearer of the party in the July 14, 2018 election. And we're going ahead to put in our best. I tell you, some of the people who disagree with Dr. Kayode Fayemi in Ekiti State did that on the account of my quarrel with him. Everybody had his own sympathizers. Dr. Fayemi had his own sympathizers. I had my own sympathizers. Of all the people who disagree with Dr. Kayode Fayemi, it is the two of us, all right, that will stand out as the two people between whom the structures of ACN were split. Those were the issues. I took my own chunk to the Labour Party and brought them back, to join APC when we came back immediately after the 2014 election. And today, if we are talking about, reunification, it means then that ACN, as it were, as a core tendency within the APC, is back together. And there's no doubt in the fact that our coming back together will make a positive difference. And events in the next few weeks and 2 months, will tell, on which side of the divide we are.
Precisely, that's where I'm headed.
Yeah.
If I can recall your body language during that botched primary, when parties, aspirants were talking about what happened, that you didn't sound desperate. And that makes me want to ask, that will we be seeing you working with Dr. Kayode Fayemi in this election? Will it be any surprise if you turned out to be his running mate?
Well, I'll put it this way. I look forward to working with Dr. Kayode Fayemi in this campaign that we are going to run for the next few months.
Is that the reason you didn't sound desperate?
No, but what I don't look forward to is being his running mate. Because one, I know I cannot be his running mate.
Why?
Because there's an arrangement. If I had my way, Dr. Kayode Fayemi should not even allow that to generate any controversy. Dr. Kayode Fayemi had a running mate when the party took him to be the candidate of the party in 2014, Professor Mrs. Adelabo. She's very much alive. She's hale and hearty. She's still, a stakeholder of our party. She also works so hard on the side of Dr. Kayode Fayemi as he prepared for the primary election. We don't have the time to start going through the battle, the controversy of who emerges as
but you would like to work with him?
With Dr. Kayode Fayemi, I don't have to be his running mate. I don't have to be his deputy governor for me to work with him. You know what it is for him to be a friend of the governor? You know what it is to be a stakeholder? You know what it is to be a statesman? You know what it is, to just be able to say, I'm a chieftain of the ruling party in Ekiti State.
I don't know.
In what other capacity do I work with Dr. Kayode Fayemi? I can't be a commissioner.
I'll take your word for it.
Yes.
You would like to work for him to actualize his vision of occupying the seat yet again.
And thereafter,
but what then?
Thereafter, I will ask God what is next in my political career.
And that's what I'm about to ask.
Election, mind you, that election is the only election in 2018. The rest of the elections are in 2019. At that point, we got leading, and the leading of the leadership of the party and other stakeholders, I'll be able to determine what I consider, should be next in my political career.
So you've counted your losses and you're moving on?
Oh, right now, what is at stake, what is at issue is the July 14, 2018 general election. The campaign that should precede it, and Wemimo, I tell you, I promise you, I look forward to playing a prominent role
in helping Dr. Fayemi win.
Dr. Kayode Fayemi to win the general election.
Looking at the result of the 2014 election, which was a dismal outing for the All Progressives Congress at that time, what makes you so confident that he will win?
Well, I will put it this way. My prediction of victory for Dr. Fayemi is not for Dr. Fayemi as an individual. My prediction of victory for him is as the candidate of APC. So ultimately, my prediction of victory is for the party itself, for which is the flag
okay, you're
bearer.
Just being optimistic, not because of his
No, I'm just being optimistic. By God's grace,
political credentials in Ekiti.
All of those will work together.
Professor Kolapo Olushola Eleka, so to speak, by proxy, it is seen as Fayose running again. And he's a very, very popular candidate in political personality in Ekiti, so to speak. And he's known for building stomach infrastructure. And the commentary is that it is the people at the grassroots who will win, not Ekiti elites, who are, so to speak, in the camp of Dr. Fayemi. So the odds seemingly are against your candidate.
Well, let me put it this way. And you would have noticed very much that I avoid as much as possible talking about individuals, That's why I probably will not be talking about Dr. Fayose or Professor Eleka. Not at this point, At some point, we all need to mount, the campaign rostrum, and on the platform, do all sorts of...
But you can't avoid looking at the political calculations.
But I'm telling you now that this whole thing is going to go beyond personalities. Ekiti people who will be voting, whether they are elites, whether they are artisans, whether they are farmers or market women and men, whether they're civil servants, teachers, pensioners, and all their local government staff, they live here. They know what they are going through. They know what the current administration promised. 4 years should be enough for anyone to see through any individual or through any administration, even if you had hope, in him or in the institution, that he's leading. And all of us will be there to do an assessment of the 4 years, of the current administration in Ekiti State, at the level of campaign. But all I can assure you at this point, Wema, is that Ekiti governorship election campaign is going to be an interesting one. It's going to be a scientific campaign, and it's not going to be the kind of campaign that people witnessed in 2014 when the Progressive family was busy involved in some form of infighting. The
infighting appears to be there still, even now.
I can assure you, I see a lot of Ekiti people, who disagree with him now that he himself has said to them, I am sorry. And now that Ekiti people can also see that, the house that was divided against itself is united, to face a common problem.
If that problem is there now, it was there when Dr. Kayode Opeyemi was governor.
Which problem?
The problem of poverty that you talk about.
Oh, no.
But that's not the point I want us to pursue now.
Okay, but it's not solved in 4 years.
It
takes consolidation. It takes continuity to solve a problem of poverty. But beyond consolidation and continuity, you must see a blueprint that works. You must see an economy, that is growing. You must see a polity that is stabilized. And these are issues that we need to address.
Now, this reconciliation that you talk about, this effort to bring everyone together under one umbrella, and this blueprint, will it be combined with federal might to help Dr. Opeyemi win the election?
This is Ekiti. We have 16 local governments. We have some 130, something towns, all right? We know ourselves. Ekiti is different from Ogun State, where even though everybody speaks Yoruba, but you have some, ethnic differences. We are one homogeneous community. Ekiti, we speak the same language, bound by the same cultural heritage, all right? We know ourselves well. And we know when it's time to say enough of lies, enough of deceit. We know when it's time for us to say, let us rekindle our interest and love for one another, for our state. And I believe we're at that point now. And I see every one of us working together.
That's how it's been on Fireworks today. Of course, if there's any lesson learned from a review of the events leading to the May 5 election, primary election in Ekiti APC, it is that Barrister Opeyemi Bamidele has been gallant in a loss or victory as he chooses to see it. Of course, there are many lessons that you have learned, and that's why the conversation will continue on all our social media platforms. And I urge you to join me again, same time next week, when I bring you another incisive edition of the program, Fireworks. Bye for now. The May 5 Ekiti APC Guber primary was only the first hurdle to cross to get to the contest proper, but it was a hard-fought battle with many lessons gone by. We'll be reviewing some of those lessons today on Fireworks as I bid you welcome to your preferred hard talk interview program on TVC. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo. Let's take a short break now, during which, as usual, you get to know who I'll be taking on the program today. Welcome. Thank you for staying tuned to Fireworks. Today, my guest wears many caps, but I'll just stick to maybe two of his designations. He was former commissioner in Lagos State and former lawmaker and Ekiti APC chieftain, Barrister Opeyemi Bamidele. Thank you for your time, sir.
It's my pleasure. Nice to be here.
Yeah, and nice to see you again, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's start with the just concluded Ekiti APC primary. You were one of the losers in that primary, but it appears that you are recovering fast. Does it seem that this time you've gotten over it?
Well, let me put it this way. I mean, I wasn't really one of the losers at the primaries. Sincerely, no one lost, you know, in that primary. But I was not the winner, you know, and that was the whole idea. 33 people contesting, the leadership of the party was concerned, the members of the party were concerned. Every one of the 33 people added value, you know, to the party, mobilized, you know, new members into the party, did all they could to ensure that they helped, you know, the party to get strengthened and to grow, you know, funded the party in their respective communities, in their wards, in their local government, you know, so everyone contributed something. But of course, it was obvious that only one person would win, you know, the primary election. So to the extent that at the end of the day, everyone that wanted to participate had a chance to participate. No one was forced to withdraw. And again, everyone who wanted to be on that ballot, you know, got a chance to be on the ballot, you know, and, you know, was involved, was a part of the process.
Are you talking about the second primary now? Because many of the aspirants in that 33 long list that you talked about expressed a lot of reservations after that failed event at the stadium.
To the botched one, the first attempt.
Yes, the first attempt.
I mean, it was botched, you know, no doubt about that. It wasn't, it didn't succeed because people had grievances, you know. Some of the aspirants felt it was something short of what they had expected, and it was all about the arrangement, you know. There's no doubt in the fact that His Excellency Governor Amakura, you know, meant well, you know, but there's a difference between meaning well and being seen, you know, to be doing well.
Demonstrate
enough,
meaning well.
Yes, you know. I mean, obviously from what people saw, a lot of aspirants were aggrieved. And I think it was in the interest of the party, and it was in the interest of the person who won ultimately that the first attempt at the primaries was cancelled.
Failed.
Yeah.
Now, you had told newsmen prior to that failed primary that the crowd of contestants wouldn't be, a crowd of aspirants rather, wouldn't be a problem. Yeah. But it turned out to be a problem at the end of the day.
Well, I still insist that it wasn't really a problem because, like I said, every one of the 33 aspirants added value. This is democracy.
Why did we have a crowd of aspirants in the first place? 33 is a number.
If any of the 33 aspirants who did not even have a single vote at the end of the election had been prevented from contesting that election, there would have been more crisis to manage. You know, so it was all right that we had a lot of people. It was all right that the party allowed everyone to run. People had a chance to complain. And what was important at the end of the day was that the process was cancelled because it fell short of expectation.
We gathered that aspirants had to pay 2.5 million naira as a fee for letter of intent at the state level, and then you had to pay 5 million naira at the national level for the nomination form proper. That is a whole lot of money when multiplied by 33 aspirants. Shouldn't the leadership of the party take some form of responsibility for this?
In terms of?
In terms of monetizing the process, which has become, you know, the trait in Nigeria's democratic landscape.
Well, I'll put it this way.
So you had to pay 7.5 million naira?
I paid more than 7.5 million. I paid 8 million naira.
For a process that you have lost out of.
5 million for nomination form, like you said, another 500,000 for expression of interest form. That was 5.5 million I paid to the National Secretariat. And then, of course, 2.5 million paid to the State Secretariat of the party. But what was that money meant for? We had 2,618 delegates for whom the party needed to print ballot papers. The party needed to, you know, provide security. Virtually all the security agencies in the country were involved. You know, the party had a lot of logistic arrangement to put in place. Where was this money going to come from?
How much are ballot boxes? How much do you pay INEC officials? How much do you pay the officials who are coming? Especially when you multiply this money by 33 aspirants. So, should the party leadership take responsibility for this?
Well, again, when we're talking about party leadership, what are we talking about? I am a part of the party leadership. Every aspirant of note is a part of the party leadership, you know. Party leadership is not just about members of the State Executive Committee or the National Working Committee of the party. You know, there are layers of leadership.
So did you protest this?
And at the end of the day, I didn't have to, but I had the right to know what the money was going to be used for. I sat down with the National Director of Organization of the party the day I went to obtain my own nomination form to find out why we have to pay so much, and he gave me a breakdown, you know, of what was going to be done, what was involved in the process. And I had been part of the process in some other states before.
I heard you say that about 4 aspirants, correct me if I'm wrong now, perpetrated some level of sharp practices at that failed primary, yes. But you didn't name the aspirants. Yes. Why?
For me, naming them or shaming them on television screen, you know, we only have created more problem than.
So you didn't camp any delegate?
I did not camp any.
You didn't induce any delegates?
I did not induce.
And I should take your word for it.
Take my word for it.
But isn't that wishful thinking? Because we gather that ahead of this election, well ahead of this election, aspirants who were interested in that seat had been preparing in the form of taking care of their constituents, who most of whom have become delegates who voted in that election.
Well, I will put it this way. I didn't have any reason to induce delegates. You know?
Why?
I'm a party man. From attracting over 86 constituency projects from the National Assembly to my constituency, which comprises just 2 local governments, Ado and Record in federal constituency, you know, to also donating my own salary for 4 years, you know, pay through an escrow account, you know, towards the empowerment of the youth, of the widows, you know, of our market men and women, and party members. I believe I had paid my own dues.
But these credentials were not enough to get you through.
Oh, well, a lot happens during election. I'll tell you, it got to a point where I had to ask myself a number of questions. I had to take certain decisions that will not matter. What was my number? All right? If you start rating aspirants. At some point, I had to convince myself that I shouldn't be ashamed as to the number that will be written against my name. You know, whether it is 2 votes, whether it is 500 votes, it didn't matter to me a lot. One thing mattered to me. I had to show that, you know, the attempts of the leaders of the party to reconcile some of us had yielded fruit. Dr. Kayode and I had Dr. Kayode Fayemi and I had a major disagreement. I didn't pretend about it when we were fighting. He was a sitting governor. I was in the House of Representatives, you know. We had major disagreements, not based on personal relationship or anything personal, but based on perspectives as to policies and programs, based on how we both perceive we should relate with the party while in government.
I'm glad you talked about this, because yes. I was going to ask if that major disagreement also had to do with the fact that you were interested in the Ekiti governorship seat in 2014, but the party leadership had told you, hey, be patient, you will get it, let Kayode Fayemi stand for re-election for 2nd term, but you refused.
Well,
is that part of the reason you fell apart?
Governorship election was in 2014, and as of that time, we were done with ACN. Please, I was in ACN till the last day. I never changed, you know, I'm a party within our progressive platform. I was a member of ACN till the last day. I was part of the legal team of ACN that actually took our certificate of registration back to INEC in Abuja to say we were done with ACN, remove our name from the register of political parties. You know, this was a condition precedent for the leadership of ACN then to be able to go into negotiation with some other political platform to form a mega party. CPC did the same thing as some other political parties that got deregistered deliberately. So I was in ACN up to that point. But because of the raging, you know, crisis in Ekiti, disagreement, you know, that was what, of course, led to some of us, rather than, you know, joining APC upon its formation, to go and run on the platform of another political party. Then it was the Labour Party. Labour Party was almost non-existent in Ekiti State. I wasn't going to go to PDP. I would never do that. If it was about desperation to win an election, that probably would have been the place to go. But we embraced a platform that we felt was also a progressive platform that we could use as a party of the workers. And once the leadership of the party moved decisively to reconcile us in 2014 after the elections. We all came back, you know.
So you say you fell apart because you stood for election in that Guba poll in 2014?
No,
not
I
before.
stood for election on that platform because we fell apart. All right? I joined the Labour Party in December 2013. All right? Election was in June 2014. And of course, I joined the party, I mean, just before APC was registered. You know, that's so the truth about it.
It stands to reason that reports we got were true, that it was because you couldn't actualize that ambition that you fell apart with your longtime friend, Dr. Kayode Fayemi.
No, that could not have been. Dr. Fayemi himself would tell you a better story of what happened, just I'm in a position to tell. We disagreed on issues, and I know who you are, Wemimo. I know you must do all you can to bring the worst, you know, out of me on this situation, but you will get the best out of me. And the best will be to reassure you. As far as I am concerned, the disagreements of 2012, 2013, and early 2014 were such that today they will make Dr. Kayode Fayemi a better governor. They will make every one of us a better stakeholder within the APC. Dr. Kayode Fayemi, while accepting the mandate given to him, he was apologizing to everyone, you know, both within the party as well as Ekiti people, who would have felt aggrieved because of some of the policies and programs he implemented in the last administration. Believe me, Dr. Fayemi is not a fool. He's a highly cerebral person. He knows what he's doing. If he thought all was normal, if he didn't think anything was wrong, he will not go on TV in the full glare of the world to say, I am apologizing, you know. But because he realized, and that's part of the hallmark of leadership, you must also know, you know, when to apologize if you know that in some areas you didn't get it right. The truth about it is the worst of Dr. Fayemi, I don't think anybody will compare it to the best, you know, of what is happening in Ekiti today.
You promised the best, and I will get the best out of you, by the way. But we'll look more at your reflections. That will be after the break. You're watching Fireworks, and talking with an APC chieftain in Ekiti State and a politician in the All Progressives Congress across board in the nation, in the person of Barrister Opeyemi Bamidele. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll look more at the fallout of that May 5 primary. Stay with us. We'll be right back.